Thank you. Here with Sam Crosby and with Senator Matt Canavan. Looking forward to what they've got to say here about what's happening this week in the United States. But before we get to the Democratic National Convention, Kamala Harris actually told us some of her plans. And some of the plans, well, I think Mr. Wonderful, among others from Shark Tank, has referred to them as communist style and terrible ideas, among other things, sort of going after all those evil corporations. Here's Mr. Wonderful explaining her policies better than I can.
It's impossible to understand how a corporation would set pricing based on gouging. What does that even mean? That's why it's being ridiculed. But I cut her a wide berth. She's not answering reporters' questions, and she's got great momentum. So throw anything at the wall you want, free money for everybody. That's what every politician does. But it has no merit in reality. At some point, she's got to put forward policies that she can be questioned on in front of a reporter. And I'm not sure when that's going to happen.
Sam, we know that if it's vibes versus issues, she's going to win, but the economy is the number one issue. Did she serve up anything you liked?
It's the number 1, 2 and 3 issues, and whilst I can agree with, all the economists out there poking, fairly large holes in this argument, I reckon punters are going to love it. They have seen, a decade now of massive inflationary price increases. So someone coming in and saying, yes, we are going to stop that, I'm all here for it, baby.
But how does the government roll in and say, what you've been selling for 10, you should only be selling for 7, Matt?
Look, I think the interesting thing here, Paul, is that Kamala kind of is the candidate of the smart, or the people that think they're the smartest, right? Among us, she's all the intellectual set, the academic set, love Kamala Harris and hates the sort of person from the wrong side of the tracks. We'd call them a bogan in Trump and the Trump supporters. They hate them. They think they're simpletons. Yet the policies of this so-called intellectual candidate are the most dumbest thing you've ever seen ever. Whereas whatever you think about Donald Trump, you go to his website, you go to his speeches, he has a laundry list of quite detailed and well thought through, coherent, really, policies. Again, you might disagree with some of them, but they're substantial. Look, I don't know, maybe Sam will be right here, but a lot of me says that when the heat of this campaign takes off, the big issue for Kamala on promises, wild promises like this, is why didn't you do this while you were there? I mean, she's been vice president now for more than 3 years. Why did you let this price gouging go under and continue under your regime? And eventually she's going to have to answer those tough questions, and I think she'll be found out.
It's a fair question, and of course the answer is because vice president's not worth a warm bucket of spit.
But if it's the reason you're qualified to be president,
sure.
You don't get to have both. You don't get that.
I think it's an interesting point about
that's two-level detail. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting point about Trump's policies, though. But you think back to 2016, he was very clear on his policies. He wanted to drain the swamp. He wanted to build the wall. As much as you might have hated him, it was very, very clear.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of those policies are that Matt's talking about. I'm sure they're there, but, gun to my head, I couldn't tell you.
Taxes on tips.
No taxes on tips.
No tax on tips. No tax on
Australian
manufacturing.
Finish the wall.
But Matt, it's not resonating the same way as build the wall.
Deportation.
And halve electricity bills. Halve electricity bills.
But you can yell all you want. It's just not resonating nearly as much as drain the swamp and build the wall.
I agree completely, but that's because, in my view, you don't sit there and do the 2-hour-long rallies, like just get in, make the contrasts, make the announcements, bang, bang, and then go and have a press conference, right? But when the media won't even report on your policies, literally try and Google.
What do you mean when the media won't report on the policies?
Power prices, no one
Fox News is still the number 1 rating show and they're all for him.
Absolutely, and they're pushing against 90% of the rest.
Oh, come on. Paul,
look, Sam.
You can't blame the mainstream media for Donald Trump not getting coverage.
I'm not going to do that. I agree with that. I agree with Sam. But Trump's not new anymore. He's not. His policies aren't having the same shock impact. So I'll give you that. But look, eventually the American politics will focus on these policy contrasts, and I'm not confident Kamala will be able to survive that heat.